Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome once again to Time Warp, the show where we take a wrestler from wrestling's history, past, present, I guess we can't do future, but past or present, and see how they would do somewhere else along the wrestling timeline. My name is Paul Laporte. Joining me, as always, fucking around with my camera currently, is Mike Miner.
Hey. Welcome.
And
Hi. How are you?
Thank you. Okay, that's enough. Subject we're going to be looking at today is actually a fairly topical one. A WWE Hall of Fame inductee for the class of 2016. We're going to see if they'd have a Hall of Fame career if they started in the modern day, and that is the group known as
Play Freebird!
The Fabulous Freebirds. Terry Gordy, Buddy Rogers, Michael P.S. Hayes. How do they do if they start today?
Oh, come on. You're gonna like not even, mention Bad Street? You're not gonna mention Bad Street?
Well, why don't you mention it for us, Miner?
God, no,
Yeah, I have to leave something for you to say.
You have a look of horror on your face. Basically, imagine a guy dressed up in all black spandex, and he has just neon lines all over him. That's Bad Street right there. Mask and all. They just got their own mascot. And, God, disgusting. But, you know what? To be fair, he was played by Brad Armstrong. One of the most underrated talents in professional wrestling.
Poor Brad Armstrong.
Arachnaman. And...
Okay, so... Fabulous Freebirds is, holy shit, are they like an 80s thing? Like,
70s,
unbelievably.
80s, yeah.
I'm just like, in terms of their overall, like, this is like, if you had to define the 1980s in professional wrestling, like, they represented the 80s, they represented Southern professional wrestling, obviously, legendary feuds with the Von Erich specifically, in Texas. Big deal back then. Drew a ton of heat, drew just violent reactions against them. But how do they fare if they walk in the doors of the Performance Center or show up in NXT or show up on main roster television today? I mean, what are your thoughts?
Well, in the North, I don't know if anybody would give too much of a damn.
Well, here's the question. Okay, I guess what we'll have to discuss first is, do they come in with the same gimmick?
They wouldn't be able to. They would be murdered, man, before they ever had a chance to get on with it. I mean, you cannot go around today wearing a Confederate flag on your back as a cape.
Right.
Confederate flag face paint. And think you're going to get away with it. Unless you're in, like, I don't know what.
And
three states at this point, and even then, it's...
I do want to clarify, though, that even though...
Trump for president.
This is going to sound weird, but even though the Freebirds wore the Confederate flag and whatever... there was no real racist overtones because they were just always feuding with the Freebirds and other. I mean, there wasn't a lot of black baby faces. The
Von Erichs, in Texas.
They
had, what did they have? No, I was going to say JYD. Did they have JYD at the time or Ernie Ladd? I don't recall, but
I'm not sure. But I mean, mainly they were feuding with the Von Erichs,
white people.
Yeah, in World Class Championship Wrestling, they were feuding with them. So really, the Confederate flag.
It was during a time though where it was a more socially acceptable thing.
Well, the thing is it doesn't need to be socially acceptable because they were heels. I mean, they were heels that whole time, and even I think when they started to be more babyface or started to get over a little bit more, they kind of let that, like, they dropped that stuff. So they were almost using the Confederate flag as a heel symbol, which really isn't that bad of a thing. It wouldn't happen today. They wouldn't do it today, but, it's not like, this isn't, like... This doesn't have, like, the racial overtones like Colonel Parker and Harlem Heat did. That's what I'm talking about. Even though they did carry a Confederate flag, it was really, like, it was kind of more just traditional, we are bad guys, we are rebelling against the establishment, which was the Von Erichs.
Would you say they were rebels?
Yeah.
Is that what you would say? Because,
exactly.
I mean, at the same time, it was around the times of the Dukes of Hazzard.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. It was more
socially
acceptable.
Yeah, and you cannot ignore what that flag represents, but what they were using it for was not necessarily, anything racially biased.
I guess it was a Southern thing. You can't, like I said, I can't
Michael P.S. Hayes at one
today,
point explained that it was a Georgia thing and that they were going against Texas boys, so that was kind of what they were taking it to mean, but again...
But, modern day, it's kind of hard to, if you did that in the modern day, they're going to say, well, that's representative of the entire South that has seceded. And I can see why, because, Texas, Georgia... But either way...
This isn't a discussion about the Confederate flag. This is a discussion about the Freebirds, how they start off today.
Okay, well, let's move on from that then. If anything... their talent would have to get them by. And I'd say, not that Michael Hayes was untalented, but I don't know. I think he would get lost in the shuffle. Terry Gordy was a good big man. Underrated, I thought.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing. I guess we should kind of break this down. First of all, the look of those three guys. Not your prototypical professional wrestler, with the exception of maybe Terry Gordy, because he was just so big, he was so strong, he was
just a smashing ass kicker, man.
He was a wall, I can see Terry Gordy getting probably the easiest foot in the door out of the three. Michael Hayes had the benefit of being very charismatic.
Good talker. Very good talker.
Yeah. So I can see, them, and then
Moonwalk's
Buddy
better
Rogers.
than Carmella. Or wait, who would you prefer the Moonwalk? I don't know. Maybe Carmella.
I would much rather watch Carmella Moonwalk than Michael PSA's Moonwalk. And then Buddy Rogers is just kind of the glue that tied the trio together.
Yeah, he was just. I'm not going to take anything away from these guys. At the time that they were around, they were a big deal. But I don't know. I just can't see them being super, super over today.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is okay. So,
and
I think
if we can add in Jimmy Garvin, because he was a part of the group later on, tag champion with Michael Hayes back in WCW, I think in the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s. I think Jimmy Garvin would have been over with his shtick. Being a pretty boy and having his pretty manager. I think that would have gotten over well. But
Okay, so let's forget appearances. Let's assume that they have the in-ring chops and the look to make it in, and WWE accepts them on that. The thing that made them, the Freebirds, so great and so well known was their feud with the Von Erich. So they need a team to feud against in order to get really hot. Who are you feuding them with?
Goldust and R-Truth, the Usos.
I mean, is it the New Day? I mean, are we just...
Of course, that's the obvious thing. I mean, look what they did for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I know. That was the New Day inducted.
That's the obvious thing.
Weird.
Mark Henry and Titus O'Neil and R-Truth.
No, but all right. So say you have to book it.
Yeah.
Who would you put them as the team that they're feuding against, and what would the circumstances be?
In all seriousness?
Yeah, seriously.
Wow. If I could rearrange history a bit.
If I could turn back time. Sorry.
No, we're gonna go forward with this. We're gonna do the time.
If I could turn ahead time. Sorry.
Jesus Christ. This is totally devolved.
I could find a way.
If we could do the time warp again.
Yeah, I could do that. I'm better with Cher.
I have to. Yeah, you're better. Okay, let's not share that.
I'm a good Cher cosplayer.
Okay. Anyway, if I could actually, rearrange history a little bit, the Dudleys would be back. If it was the modern day, the Dudleys would be back like they came in last year. I would add Spike.
They're still around now.
Yeah, they're still around now, but I would add Spike in.
Mm-hmm.
I'd probably have those teams go at it. Those two teams go at it, or Sign Guy Dudley, because they need moral support. The innovator of silence.
This one is just so weird because this is another one that, like Yokozuna, when we discussed that one, they're not going to have the same gimmick. There's no way that they're going to have the same gimmick that they did before. So you just make them a trios team. Do you make them kind of similar to the Revival, where they're just kind of old Southern ass kickers? And maybe they're, I don't know, are they working for somebody? Just, are they going to work for the Authority? Could we see, them feuding against the Shield or something?
You know what? There is still a big redneck crowd out there.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't enjoy the rednecks.
Are they faces? Are they heels? What
That's
are
the
they?
thing, is I don't know.
What the fuck do you do with the Freebirds at any other time? What the fucking 80s in Texas? You put them, we always, that's one of the criticisms we have with Time Warp is everybody kind of ends up in the same spot, and does anybody ever not succeed where they end up? I think this is a clear-cut case of that.
This is what I think they would try to do. You see that guy once in a while around here with his big lifted pickup truck with the redneck license plate, says redneck with a Confederate flag on it. I think they would be those guys brought to television, and they would try to build upon that kind of we're rednecks, we're proud of it, we don't care, and they'd go from there. But it's God, how do you build upon that? But it's but then again, it's it's just one of those things I think that would occur naturally because there's a market for rednecks out there and redneck culture. and I think it would be popular. It just depends on if Vince gets behind it.
So, like you said,
if
are
the
they
creative team gets
baby
behind
faces then? I mean,
I don't know. Maybe they'd probably do what the New Day did, where they would be heels, but that market would want to cheer them, and eventually they'd go face because they have a strong following.
I definitely see the Freebirds this day and age being
not like a Jesse and Festus kind of.
No, but I see them.
I mean?
I just see them being more kind of a comedy gimmick, or at least a more lighthearted gimmick than maybe they were perceived as back in the '80s. They're seen as kind of like the redneck ass kickers or whatever. But I also think that they're a little bit more, because of their charisma and because of the way they interact. Maybe they are a little bit more jokey.
Now that I think about it, do you remember back in, I'd say, 98, 99, Southern Justice?
Not.
Do you remember the Godwins?
Yes.
Do you remember they came back?
Yes.
They came back. I think maybe something like that.
Or
perhaps,
the thing I was thinking of was the West Texas Rednecks was what I was thinking of specifically.
Except the I hate rap thing, wouldn't do that?
Maybe they would. That's the thing. I don't know. All right. I guess like final thing in terms of what do you do with them is, do you keep them as a group or do you split them up individually?
If you split them up, Terry Gordy is going to be the guy that's pushed. Michael Hayes, I don't know. I said he'd be lost in the shuffle, but he's too charismatic to really get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, this one's so weird. I definitely agree.
I don't know about Buddy though.
I mean, if it's me, maybe keep Hayes and Buddy Rogers together as a tag team, and then just fracture Gordy off on his own, because it just seems like Terry Gordy has the most upside out of the three of those guys.
Yeah. Brad Armstrong would be stuck in his own. He'd be stuck in another terrible gimmick.
Yeah.
Buzzkill.
Yeah, exactly. He'd be Francesca in a trombone costume.
He would and then Jimmy Garvin, I think, would do well on his own. I think he would at least have a U.S. championship or IC championship run. Everybody likes the Brain Buster, so.
Yeah, well, they wouldn't let him do it, but...
Well, it depends. I think it depends how he executes it, if he's safe with it.
Yeah.
But who knows? I don't know.
But I do think that this is a one, do they end up at the same place that they, or do they have the same career that they did? I mean, are they going to end up as Hall of Fame guys? Certainly not as the Freebirds, not as a group, I don't think. And I don't know. I think Terry Gordy might get there, maybe Michael P.S. Hayes, but... Are we going to be talking about these guys going into the Hall of Fame, for the class of 2030 or whatever? Yeah, 30 or 40.
I just think, I don't know if the market's there for a bunch of guys that look like they're pushing 40. They're pushing 40, but they're actually 25. 23, 25 years old.
Good point.
But it's certainly weird to say. Like I said, I'm a Jimmy Garvin mark, but it's just... You got to be realistic about it. Are they going to get over as a tangent? I could see them maybe lasting as long as the Shield did, but
I don't even think they last that long.
I don't know if they'd be as successful.
I think they might do a reverse Shield and start off in NXT as a group and then come into WWE individually.
Yeah, I can see that.
I can see that. I don't know. All right, well. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Time Warp. Hope you enjoyed. Please be sure to check out all of our other shows on our YouTube channel. On Mondays, we have this very show, Time Warp. Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have Changing the Questions. Wednesdays, we have Booking a Better Wrestler. And on Fridays, we have Let's Play TEW. Also, be sure to check out our website, changingtheqs.com. That's changingtheqs.com, where we're putting out more and more articles every day, especially with this being WrestleMania week. We are going to have just a buttload of content that is going to be going up. Also, be sure to follow us on Twitter, at changingtheqs, which is at changingtheqs. Be sure to like us on Facebook. Just search for Changing the Questions there. And if you want to send us a good old-fashioned email, do so. changingthequestions@gmail.com. Minor, it looks like you got something to say.
Well, I was going to say, this is a topic I really want to see people comment and respond to. I want to see your direction from this.
Yeah, we always want your feedback, because, and this one is definitely a weird one, so we would love to hear what you think out there.
Really weird and unusual one, because I'm kind of stymied. I kind of feel like, when a creative team gets around the table and they try to think of something for somebody, or they're stuck on one thing, and they go, we really don't know. This is how it feels.
Yeah.
Because this is such a weird kind of
creative
topic,
has nothing for them.
I don't know. The Freebirds, I like this guy, and this guy's okay, but this one, I'm not feeling anything with him. The other one and his valet, She's good. It's one of those things where I want to see other people's ideas. I'm open to it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's my partner, Mike Miner. For him, my name is Paul Laporte. We'll see you again soon.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.
Bye.